If you have ever created a spreadsheet in Excel and you've added in some sort of a formula and then copied that formula to other cells in your spreadsheet, chances are you have used the fill handle. Now you may not know the name, but you've probably found that little square in the bottom right of the cell that had your formula, and you've maybe even done some clicking and dragging to do some copying. But the fill handle is not limited to just copying formulas. It does a whole lot of other things besides. For example, it knows the months of the year or the days of the week. It even knows quarters, and you can use that to your advantage when you're creating spreadsheets. It can also do some amazing things with just a double click. So stay tuned so you can see our today's tips on using the fill handle in Excel. Hi, I'm Terry, one of the Consumer Technology Specialists for Mid-Continent Public Library, and let's get started with the fill handle. By default, Excel knows the names of the days of the week and the names of the months. And you can use that to your advantage to very quickly create a spreadsheet. So, for example, let's say that I decide that I want to type the days of the week starting in A3. Well, let's see, I could start with Sunday. And then I could come down to the bottom right of that cell, and you can see that there's just a little bitty square there. Well, when I rest my mouse on top of that square that's called the fill handle, I get a little skinny plus sign. So now I can click and drag down, and you notice as I go slowly here, it even shows me the days of the weeks as I scroll down. And I have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now if I wanted to do that again, I could just keep on going down until I get a second week filled in. Now what's interesting is, let's say that I decide that I want to use abbreviations instead. Well, I could type sun for Sunday. Let's see what happens when I use the fill handle, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. And look at that. Just that easily, I have now the abbreviated version of the days of the week. Well, what could I do with the months then? Well, kind of the same thing. I could start here at B2, for example, and type January, type the whole name, find the fill handle, and click and drag across until I get to December. Now, I don't have to click and drag across. I could also click and drag down. And for the days of the week, I could drag across as opposed to going down. But as you can see, it's very easy to use the month name. Now, I could also use the month abbreviation. So again, I'll just start with the January abbreviation, find my fill handle, click and drag across, and now I have the abbreviation for the months as well. Something else that you might want to do from time to time is let Excel's fill handle help you copy the cell contents of one cell just down a column or across a row with very little effort. Now, copying a cell's contents can be accomplished many ways. For example, I could type name here, then press enter and go down to the next cell, and I could use Control apostrophe, and it would add in that information. Let me press enter again. This time, let me just type the capital N, and it should try to fill in the rest of that word for me. And it just looks at the top of the column, tries to see if there's anything that starts the same way. And it can be that you have similar entries, but it will look at, say, the initial 2, 3, 4, 5 letters and try to help you complete your entries very quickly. But probably the easiest thing to do is find that cell that has the contents you want to copy, find the fill handle in the lower right, rest your mouse on top of that little box and get the skinny little plus sign here. Then we can simply click hold your mouse down as you drag down, and we're going to stop at 20. But just that easily, we have copied the contents of that initial cell all the way down a column, keeping in mind that we could also do the same thing going across a row if we wanted to. Well, while we're here, we could finish our form very easily. We would put address here, maybe, and perhaps phone here. Again, finding the fill handle, resting my mouse on top of it, and clicking and dragging down. I've moved back to our original example here because I thought, well, maybe what I would like to do is say that, well, Sunday is actually the first of this month. So I would like to add the dates, the numbers for the different days within the month. And to do that, I'm going to go to column A and just do a right click on the A and get a shortcut menu that lets me insert a new column. So we'll insert, and now we have a new column A, and for Sunday, I'm just going to type a 1. Now, if we keep in mind that if I typed Sunday and then with the fill handle, Excel knew Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc., or if I typed January, Excel knew February, March, April, clear through to the end of the year, then it might be reasonable to assume that if I type a 1, that Excel knows that sequence too, because it's just, counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let's see what happens if I rest my mouse on that fill handle and click and drag down, and nope, that only copied the cell contents. So we need to be kind of aware of what happened here. Obviously, Excel doesn't see a number by itself as some sort of pattern. So first, let's delete those numbers that I did put in, come back to the 1, and then what would be the pattern if I just want to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Well, below the 1, I need to type a 2. Now, Excel still doesn't know that sequence until I select the cell that has the 1 and the cell that has the 2, both cells. Then, at the lower right of that second cell, we still have the fill handle, and when we rest our mouse on top of it and get the skinny plus sign, we can click and drag down, and now we have the sequential numbers. One tip here is that sometimes you don't necessarily want to put the numbers for, say, the month, but if you have information in your spreadsheet, and sometimes it's a list of items, and if you decide that maybe you would like to sort that list maybe alphabetically, maybe not, but however you want to sort, you decide that then at some point in the future, you want to get back to the original order of that list. The best way to do that is to add a column, just like I've done, and put in these sequential numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, through whatever, 1,000, 1,000,000, whatever the numbering is, so that at some point you can do a sort on this column and get the entries back to their original order. Sometimes that can be really important. Well, let's go to another sheet, just a blank sheet, and talk about patterns a little bit more. So I'm going to start with today's date, although it could be any date for sure. And then let's say that this is in fact a Monday, and I want to set up meetings for every Monday. Well, 5/3 is the first Monday, so 5/10 would be the next Monday. Now that I have my pattern, I simply select those two cells and click and drag down. Well, if these Mondays all worked that easily, and just saying, the Monday of each week, what else could we do? Well, what we've done here is change that middle number, but what if we do, again, starting at May 3rd, but what if we decide we want to have it be just a month from this date? So it could be like 6/3/2021. And we would again select those two cells, find the fill handle, and click and drag down. Oh, I need to widen that just a little bit. But now I have the 3rd of each month. Well, what if we want to keep the same date, but we want to change the year? Well, we can do that as well. We simply put in the date that we want to keep, and this time we would put in 5/3, but the next year. Select those two cells, find our fill handle, and click and drag down. And so now we have May 3rd. Maybe it's someone's birthday. And it would just simply give us a listing of all of those days. Now, Excel does remember one other kind of date situation, and that is quarters. So we could type quarter 1, and again, we might need to say quarter 2 just in case, but we've established our pattern here. So watch what happens when I find the fill handle and click and drag on this. It is even smart enough to know that there are only 4 quarters, and so after the first set of quarters, it starts right back at quarter 1, goes to quarter 4, starts again at quarter 1, and goes to quarter 4. So those are just some of the shortcuts that the fill handle can really assist you with. If you were at all familiar with the fill handle before you started watching this video, chances are you learned about the fill handle when you learned how to copy formulas. But if you're not familiar with that, let's look at this quick example of someone who has pets, and some of their orders are on kind of an auto order basis, and others then they go to the pet store or the grocery store or whatever to pick up a few essentials along the way. So if we decide that we want to add what has been spent on Monday, we could simply say equals, and there's several ways to do this, but I'm going to type sum, which is the function for adding cell contents. And then because it's a function, I'm going to add in the left parenthesis. And then I need to say what I want to add. So I'm going to click B4 through B7. And that adds in the B4 and B7, but it also puts in a colon, which means be sure to also add in B5 and B6, all the cells in between the beginning and the ending cells. Now, to formally finish a formula or a function, we need to add in the right parentheses as well. And then I'm going to go to the left of the formula bar and click on the check mark to get that total. Now from here, all I need to do is go to the fill handle, get my skinny plus sign, and click and drag across. And this is just really great because while our first formula here is B4 through B7, now if I click, say, in column B, notice that it has automatically adjusted, so we still have the correct rows, and it is adjusted to column D, or here, it's adjusted to column F, keeping the same rows. Well, I might also decide that I want to know what I've spent per week or what this other person has spent per week. So again, I could type equals sum, left parentheses, and I could either type or click and drag over B4 through F4. Again, I want to end that formula with a right parentheses, and then I can go to the left of the formula bar to the check mark to set that into my spreadsheet. Now again, I can find my fill handle, get the skinny plus sign, and click and drag down so that I can get a total per week, or kind of the grand total here, which is, boy, that is kind of a big number, isn't it? So this pet owner might decide to change the brand of food, or maybe not spend quite so much on treats, or whatever the thing is, they might decide to take the animal to the vet a little less often, which is that every other week for $40. So it can kind of add up, but it's something to consider. Now there is one more thing that we could do, and that is we could, let me just come here and add in some numbers very quickly. And then, once again, I could put in a formula, and this is going to be a nonsensical formula, really. I'm just going to say that this cell equals this cell, and click my check mark. But if you have a column of numbers that there's no blank cell in between any of them, you can find your fill handle, double click, and it will copy your formula down until it finds a blank cell and then it stops. But if you have a spreadsheet, and sometimes there are thousands or 10,000s of rows, and you need to copy a formula down very quickly, that double click can save you so much time. Now you need to still check because there could be a blank cell someplace in that 10,000 rows, but this could really help you create a large spreadsheet with answers very quickly and easily. Here is a final tip for today, and you will find that while you may not use this all the time, if you find yourself typing the same kinds of lists over and over and over again, this could save you a lot of time. There is something that is called custom lists. Now, already in those lists are the days of the week and the different months. But if you want to add your own list, and whether that's room numbers that keep repeating, names of people within the company that keep repeating, or maybe we'll look at, say, districts within the company, but whatever it is that you find you just type over and over again in multiple spreadsheets, this could be a time saver and a really nice addition to what you know about Excel. So what we can do is go to File, and then all the way down on the lower left, go to Options, and then again on the left, we can go to Advanced. And we need to scroll almost to the bottom, so little patience here as we scroll through all of these different advanced options, and eventually we will find the general group. And at the bottom of the general group, we can create lists for use in sorts and fill sequences, and here is a button to edit the custom list. On the left, the existing custom lists are days of the week and the different months of the year. To add in your own list, you simply come over to this right box that says List Entries. And so let's say that we have districts within our company. So we would start, say, Northeast, press Enter to go down to the next line. We would have a Southeast maybe, a Midwest, a Northwest, and perhaps a Southwest. Forgot where I was. And then to add this in to the lists on the left, you go to the button on the right, click Add, and now that is part of those lists. So we can click OK. And actually, before I click OK, notice that you could have a pre-created spreadsheet where you have that list and you simply can import that list from the existing cells. Well, we'll click OK here, and then OK again at the bottom right. And now if I start with, let's say Southeast, go to our check mark, and then find our fill handle and click and drag across, or click and drag down, either way. It now knows the list in order of the different districts, and it will just complete that list for you very easily and no extra typing. So I hope you'll be able to enjoy that little tip. Maybe not often, but when you need it, it is a wonderful tool. To learn even more, visit our mymcpl.org/online learning page, where you will find some really great online resources which include Universal Class, LinkedIn Learning, and Learning Express Library. Tune in each week as we introduce new videos on a variety of tech topics. You can find us at 1 o'clock on Wednesday and Friday and 2 o'clock on Tuesday. Be sure to find us on Facebook at MCPL 360, or if you prefer, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at MCPLMO, where you can find our MCPL Consumer Technology Resources playlist.